The busy mind, they're constantly thinking what to do next. I have to contact this person, that person. Hello, how are you? Hello, today we have a special guest, Yoko Tsuji from Japan. Hello, Yoko, how are you?
ありがとう、ナスリンさん、呼んでくださって、こんにちは。
Wonderful, wonderful. Yoko says, thank you for having me. Let me just introduce Yoko to you a little bit. Yoko first began her business career, entrepreneurship, at age 17. And she did a lot of wonderful things, very successful. But unfortunately, at 25 years old, she had a life threatening illness that she had to kind of shut down everything and really focus on herself. And that is when Yoko met with Reiki, learned Reiki, and began using Reiki as part of her healing process. And look where she is now, almost 30 years later. Of course, in the meantime, she became the president of Japan Reiki Association. But she's been doing Reiki now for almost 30 years, and amazing experience. I love the way Yoko explains things. It's like very logical. Why? Because Yoko was also, like me, a skeptic who didn't really, get into Reiki. And then through her experience, now really understands. So she has a logical mind and that spiritual mind, and she combines it amazingly well. So today we are going to ask her some of your questions. All right. So what we're going to do today is I will ask Yoko the questions. Yoko will respond in Japanese. I'll translate. Okay. So without further ado, the first question I think has come from Toronto. So how would you describe Reiki to a child?
小さい子供に向けての霊気の説明ですね。そうだな。目に見えないエネルギーなので、その説明はすごく難しいけれども、例えば私だったらね、果物を用意しますね。取れたての新鮮な、例えばイチゴ。取ってから1週間経ってるイチゴ。これを両方用意できると非常にわかりやすいと思います。
It's rather difficult to explain to a child because energy is something that we cannot see, correct? But if I were to explain, I would use a fruit. Let's say, for example, I would get a strawberry that is fresh, and on the other side, I will get strawberry that is about a week old.
そう。で、それをね、両方見せて、どっちがフレッシュに見える新鮮に見えるって聞きます。
And then I'll show them both the strawberries and say, which looks fresher?
そしたら、さすがにどの子供も区別がつくと思うんですよ。必ず色が鮮やかで生き生きとしたイチゴの方を指さすでしょう。
And then obviously, I'm sure every child will be able to notice which one is fresher. They'll be able to see its bright color and perhaps even smell it and know which one is fresh.
そしたら私は、これが霊気だよ。このイチゴから溢れている生き生きさ、フレッシュな雰囲気。これが霊気のエネルギーだよ。霊気がたくさんある。だから生き生きしてるよって言います。
So then I would explain to the child that that is Reiki, the energy that you seemed to perceive, the freshness of the strawberry, the smell, the fragrance that you can smell, how you see, that is Reiki, is how I would explain it. So now the next question is how best to share Reiki in the moment without being overbearing. So when a crisis arises amongst friends or neighbors or even strangers, how can we explain Reiki and how can I get my intentions across and so that I can give Reiki to that person?
これはね、日本の場合と他の国の場合と、ちょっとシチュエーションが変わるかもしれないし、対応も変わるかもしれないですね。
I think this situation might be slightly different how it would be handled in Japan versus overseas, or even it may be a little country specific.
実を言うと日本は霊気の発祥の国なのに、現代の日本人の大半の人は 霊気を知らないんですよね。
Japan is the country where Usui Reiki originated, but unfortunately, in today's day and age, not many Japanese people know about Reiki.
なので、今の日本だったら、いきなり相手に向けて私が霊気のヒーリングを行い出すと、その人びっくりするでしょう。
So, if I were in such a situation and if I began sending Reiki like this in today's Japan, the person looking at me might get slightly frightened and wonder what I was doing.
なので、私の場合はどう使うかっていうと、まず、うわーってその目の前の状況に慌てふためいた自分がいたら、まず自分を落ち着かせるために、こっそりと霊気を使います。自分に満たして、自分を整え、落ち着かせます。
So first thing what I would do is in that situation, if I was feeling a little anxious and nervous and getting like caught up in that, emergency situation, I would give Reiki to myself to allow me to calm down and be able to deal with the situation better. I think that's the first thing I would do.
それから目の前の人が全然霊気のことを知らなかったり、スピリチュアルじゃなかったりとか、見えないエネルギーについてそもそも信じていない人の場合は、私はすぐ前にいたとしても、直接的なヒーリングは行わずに、その代わり、手を伸ばさずにこっそり、遠隔ヒーリングを使います。
If I knew the person, had no idea about Reiki, if I knew they were not really spiritual or they were a little bit more practical, they didn't believe in things they cannot see. If I knew that situation or if I didn't know what they believed in, etc., I wouldn't rush and put my hands over them. In fact, I would just stay slightly away and from a distance, I would begin to send them distance healing discreetly.
でも、多くの人が霊気について知ってる国もあるし、その場にいる人たちみんなが霊気について特に悪い印象や疑いや何も持っていない、そういうような場所だったら、そのままその人の幹部や必要なところに、手を当てます。
If I were in a country where I knew people around there are very accepting of Reiki, and in that situation too, the people around are accepting of Reiki, then I would go ahead and place my hand where it's required. And in addition, that yes, this situation will be probably very situational and very different, and maybe it might be a little difficult to give a general answer. Thank you very much. All right. And then the next question is, as a general rule, who is Reiki most useful for? The sick, the healthy, the stressed, men or women? I know it's for everybody, but as a seasoned professional, does this question trigger any additional wisdom to be shared?
そうですね。そもそものオリジナルな日本伝統式の霊気はね、ヒーリングが目的じゃなかったんですよね。
Original traditional Reiki wasn't really for healing.
で、臼井先生はどのように言っていたかというとね、私たちが生きてる目的、それはすごく自分らしく、伸びやかに軽やかに人生を楽しむこと、謳歌すること。
So what Usui Sensei used to say is the reason why we are here is to be your original self and be happy and like live your life to its fullest in the way that you were supposed to.
その時にね、自分のエゴよりも本当の自分の輝きが内側から溢れて、どんどんどんどん人生がいい感じになっていく。それをみんなせっかく生きてるんだから味わおうよっていう提案だったんですね。
So his intention for, having this practice was that let's keep our egos aside and really enjoy our original life. Let's allow ourselves to shine bright and live life to its fullest.
そんなわけなので、 海外でね、霊気が広まるときに、どうしてもそのヒーリングの効果のところがこう目立ってしまって、霊気イコール病気を治すものっていうような、そういう理解をしている人も多いかもしれませんが、うん、それはちょっと違うんですね。
because of the way or how Reiki traveled to the world. Today, outside Japan, many people think or know Reiki as a healing modality. And so that's why there's more focus on the effects of the healing aspect of Reiki. But the original concept, originally, it's a little bit different, not exactly that.
私たちが生きてる目的は健康になるためじゃないんですよね。健康でも退屈だったり孤独だったり自分らしくないことばかり我慢しながらやってる人生だとしたら、それは多分生きてる甲斐がないですもんね。
Our goal to live is not to become healthy. Because even if you are healthy, if you're not enjoying life, if you're just alone by yourself, not able to do the things that you love to do, you might feel no point in being here.
なので、そもそも霊気は、その人がより軽やかに自分らしく、生きられるために使うもの。もちろん他の人のヒーリングをやってもいいんですけどね。
So really, originally, like Reiki is meant for you to live your life to its fullest extent. Like be yourself and live your life to its fullest extent. It's the means to that. Of course, you are allowed to do healing to yourself and others. That's part of it.
そんなわけなので、例えば、生まれつき何か持病を持ってる、病気を持ってる人でも、霊気を学べば、霊気が使えるし、誰かをヒーリングすることもできますし、もちろん自分自身をヒーリングすることができます。そして仮にその病気が治らなかったとしても、よりハッピーに軽やかに人生を楽しむことができるはずです。
So, for example, if somebody was born with some sort of illness, that person can also definitely learn Reiki and use it to heal themselves or use it to heal others. And, just in case if they are not able to completely cure their illness, but through Reiki, they will be able to have a happier life, be able to live a good life. And that's really the point.
もうちょっと例
Mm.
を出して、実例を出して話してもいいですか、この話。東京の方でね、霊気ヒーリングのサロンがあるんですよね。
Yoko wants to give you a concrete examples of what she means by this. Japan Reiki Association has a healing salon in Tokyo where we receive clients for just healing. And so Yoko is going to talk about the example from there.
あのね、あるね、がんの、それもステージ4の女性が来られたんですね。そのサロンにね。でもちろん一番最初に来た時は、もう藁をもすがる思いですよ。なんとか霊気ヒーリングで私の病気が良くならないだろうか。もし良くなったらすごいっていう期待を持って最初来られたんですよ。
A lady came in for a healing session. She had cancer stage 4. And of course, she came in with a lot of expectations, hoping that, it was kind of her last resort that please, Reiki, do something for me. And I really want to get better. And I really hope that Reiki would make me better.
で、その女性に対して、都会のね、ヒーラーの女性はこのように言いました。私はあなたと一緒にあなたの体が訴えているメッセージを拾い上げていくことを霊気ヒーリングの最中やりたいと思います。
So what she said to the client, our healer at the Reiki salon, she said to the client who came in with the illness that what I'm going to do through this healing session is with you pick up the messages that your body is trying to speak, tell.
体の症状、痛みなどは体が訴えている伝えたいメッセージ。だから、一緒にそのメッセージをちゃんと耳傾けて聞いてあげる時間にしましょう。それがヒーリングの時間です。っていうふうにね、 そのヒーラーの彼女は言ったんです。
So the healer said, see, what's happening to your body, the symptoms, the pain that you're experiencing are all messages that your body is trying to tell you. The body wants you to understand something. So we're going to use this treatment session to listen to the messages your body is trying to convey.
それでね、施術ベッドに寝ていただいたクライアントさんに向けて、ヒーラーの女性はヒーリングを開始するわけですけども、響きって言ってね、エネルギーが感じられるたびに、ここに、気の滞りがありますとか、ここがちょっと冷えてますねとか言いながらね、何か今思い出すことはありませんか？昔の思い出話とか、ふっと浮かんできたようなことはありませんかっていうふうに聞いていったんですね。
As she would give a healing session, she would begin to sense the energy, perhaps the blockages. Sometimes it may be a little coolness, but every time the healer felt some sort of sensation, she asked the client, do you remember something, perhaps something from the past? Does some memories come up and trigger you in the moment?
そしたらね、そのクライアントの女性は、幼い頃の出来事やいろんな話をぽつりぽつり思いつくまま施術を受けてる最中にね、話してくれたんです。
The client began to remember things and began to just randomly, but she started to speak experiences from her past, her memories from her past.
そうするとね、面白いことが起こるんですよ。そのヒーラーの女性のね、霊気をしている手に、クライアントの女性の体のその細胞たちがね、なんでしょうね。それに気づいて欲しかった。ずっと我慢してたんだよとか、辛かったことがあったのに、大したことないっていう風にして、ちゃんとその時、その辛さを感じなかったよね。だけどずっと辛かったよ。僕たち細胞は頑張ってきたんだよ。っていうようなね、そういうような感覚がね、手に届くんですよ。
So, can you guess what might have happened? So, as the client started to speak up, the healer began to feel the energy from the body of the client. It was as if the cells were speaking to the healer, saying, yes, that's exactly what we wanted you to understand. Those are the memories, those are the experiences that you had before. And it was a big deal. And yet you said, no, it's not a big deal. And you just put it away. But no, you felt hurt and you needed to feel hurt. So those are the things that the healer began to feel.
それでね、そのヒーラーの女性は、クライアントの女性に、本当はその時どんな気持ちでしたか？怖かった？悲しかった？それとも悔しかった？とかね、そういうようなことを聞きながらヒーリングしていったんですね。
Every time the client came up with the memory, the healer asked her, how did you feel then? Were you afraid? Were you sad? How did you feel in that moment?
そしたら時にはね、そのクライアントの女性は思わず涙が出たり、あの時は本当は悔しかった。誰かにそのことを分かってほしかったとかね、そういう返事をされて。で、クライアントの女性が答えるたびに、その女性の体のその響きが、気が済んで、和らいでいくんですよね。
Every time when the client responded with how she had felt through that experience, of course, sometimes it was sadness and she would tear up. But every time the feelings came out, the cells from the body, the sensation that the healer was feeling kind of evolved and changed. And she could sense that the body felt relief.
だからね、ヒーリングの時間は、ヒーラーの女性がクライアントの女性の体の声を聞く時間、そして細胞たちの訴え、メッセージを聞く時間、そんな感じになっていったんですね。
the healing treatment session became listening to the body, what the cells of the client were wanting to speak. And they were heard during that session.
そうするとね、そのクライアントの女性は、セッションそのものが非常に楽しい時間になって、そしてまた次も、また次も、こう、リピートで来られるようになったんです。
And so that first session was such a wonderful experience for that client that she then began to look forward and she came again and again and again.
こんな感じでね、クライアントのその女性は、私何回目かの時にまたお会いしたら、すごくね、生き生きして、ワクワクしながら、うちのサロンに来られてるなっていう感じがしました。
And I happened to see her maybe for the fifth time after a number of time. And I could see and sense how happy and how enthusiastically, almost like skipping and coming into her healing session.
だからね、うちのサロンにはたくさんのクライアントさんが来られますから、中には症状がすごく和らいで、もうほぼ治ってしまわれる方もいらっしゃるし、逆にそのステージ4の方なんかはスムーズに症状が良くなっていったり、数値が良くなっていったりしない場合もあります。けれども、私が大事だなって思うのは、そのクライアントの女性、そのサロンに来ることがすごく楽しみになって、で、何が楽しいかっていうとね、体が良くなるかどうかじゃなくて、自分のことなのに自分で気づけていなかったこと、そこにどんどん気づいていく作業、それがすごい楽しい時間になっていったんですね。そこが重要だと私は思うんです。
People who come to our Reiki salon, some of the clients, of course, heal. They're able to kind of overcome their illnesses and the body heals completely. But then, of course, this lady who already was at the fourth stage cancer, sometimes, it doesn't happen. But what is more important, I feel, is the fact that it wasn't about whether her illness is going to be okay, whether she's going to recover from it. The important thing was that she was so happy coming to these healing sessions. And why? Because she became aware and understood what her body was trying to say, and she got to know herself. That became an enjoyable thing, a purpose for her. And I think that is really the most important thing.
この話、ナスリンさんどう思います？私はね、なんで今日も私は調子が悪いのとか、またここが痛いよとか、私どうなるの？もっとひどくなるのかな？怖いとかね。その彼女がそういう気持ちで生きるんじゃなくて、次の、霊気の時間には、また自分が気づいてあげれなかった自分の体のメッセージを聞くことができる。そして、それは自分をいたわる時間なんだ。っていうふうに、認識を変えられた。そこがね、すごいと思うんですよ。最初来られた時は治りたかったの。で、自分の病気を、疎ましがってる。わかります？もうしんどいわ、苦しいわって、嫌ってた。それがさ、その体のメッセージをちゃんと聞いてあげようって、我慢してくれてたんだね。こんなに痛くなるまでこらえてくれてたんだねっていうふうにね、自分の体に対する理解が変わったの。私はここがすごいと思って。
I also think it is amazing. So, like how what Yoko has been saying, Yoko feels that it was really amazing that this client, when she first came in, it was about that, oh my gosh, this illness of mine is such a pain. I mean, it's paining physically, but just the fact that I am ill is a pain and I just want to get rid of it. But then that over time changed into that it's not about whether the pain goes away or not, but like I feel happy. The pain doesn't not bother me, but the I understand why the pain is happening, and I'm able to look into me and understand me. I'm paraphrasing a little bit and speaking in my own words, but so I also agree. I think it's an amazing story. And that's what we strive to do at Japan Reiki Association, right? That is really our goal, for us to be able to live in the way that we are. We are who we are inside, and sometimes we forget how what the original self is. The outside changes, but through the practice of Reiki, we are able to look inside, become aware, hear what the different parts of us are trying to tell us, and so that we can then live the best life that we can.
これも人間関係のストレスとか、お金がないっていうようなストレスとか、まあそういう人も同じです。体の症状以外の人もね、同じだと思っています。お金がない自分を情けなく思ったり、劣等感を感じたり、もうこんな私はダメだって言って自分を責めたりね。うん。自分で自分のことを嫌ったり、自分に関して心配になる。これがね、自分を愛するっていう方向に変わっていく。ここがすごくね、霊気のいいところだなって思ってんですよ。
And Yoko continues to say that this is like same. It's not just your physical bodily pain, illness. It can also happen if you have stress, monetary stress, financial stress, if you have stress for relationships. It's all the same. Like, for example, for money, you might think that, oh my gosh, I don't have money, and you're always worrying about it. And you think that, oh, I'm such a horrible person. I'm not able to earn enough. And then you begin to dislike yourself and just constantly worry, worry, worry. But through the practice of Reiki, that changes and evolves to you loving yourself. That's the amazing part of Reiki. Okay, so now we will go move on to the final question for today. What is the most common feedback from clients of seasoned professionals? Like, what are the cumulative effects of a regular client relationship?
そうね、一番最初に、よく皆さんがおっしゃられるのは、イライラくよくよが減った。もう長い間ネガティブな気持ちを引きずっていられなくなった。飽きてくる。そして気分が早く浮上する。これですね。
One of the first things that clients who come in for a healing session would say is that they're able to come back to normalcy, always thinking, oh, no, 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 that like this kind of feeling. But from there, they're able to just come back and not continue to worry.
心が整う、エネルギーが整うと、少しタイムラグありますけど、体の症状も整ってくる方向に向かいます。
Your heart and your mind is able to kind of come into alignment. When your energy is balanced, then your physical self also then comes into alignment.
長期的なお付き合いになってくると、やっぱ、だんだんと生き生きと若返ってこられるっていうかね、雰囲気が変わってきますね。
Of course, coming into that alignment, there is a little bit of time lag, right? So when you continue to see the same healer, of course, the relationship is because both can see the progress that's happening.
最初のうちはね、ストレスでいっぱいの人なんかは、今日何かいいことありましたってヒーラーの人が聞いても、むしろ悪い話、嫌なことがあった話をする。これがやっぱり、いいことありましたって聞いたら、いいことあったんです。っていう風に変わっていきますね。
In the beginning, right? The healer asks you, how are you today? Anything good happen? But the client in the beginning would always be like, no. In fact, they come up with something negative that happened. But over time, the question then, actually the answer then changes to, yes, something wonderful happened.
あとはね、やっぱ見えないエネルギーの霊気のヒーリングならではのね、例えば、人のオーラが見えましたよとか、なんか、見えないはずのものが見えたみたいな話をされる方もいらっしゃるし、それ以外に直感、ひらめき、それから虫の知らせ、未来予知的な、 まあ、そういうものがこう冴えてこられる方っていうのは非常に多いですね。
Another thing, like advantage of, continuous Reiki healing is because it's Reiki. Sometimes people say that they are able to see aura or they're able to see things that they didn't see before. They have an enhanced sense of intuition, or they're able to kind of predict what's going to happen next, sort of things, are some of the things that happened as you continue to do Reiki. And the other thing is, this is from our students who have learned Reiki at the association. Often they say their senses are sharpened. So, the sense of hearing or sense of taste or whatever, all the five senses are sharpened.
それからね、男性に多いのは、やっぱ念が湧いて、頭がいつも忙しい。あれしなきゃ、これしなきゃ、これが終わったらあれだよ。あの人に連絡しなきゃ、みたいなね。この雑念がね、こう日常生活の中で収まってきて、こう静かで穏やかな状態を取り戻す。ちょっと時間かかりますが、そういう報告も多いです。
Another thing I hear is, this is more from men, I hear, is that the busy mind, they're constantly thinking what to do next. I have to contact this person, that person. So that busy mind over time kind of quiets down on a daily basis. So it does take a little longer time, but eventually they're able to quiet their mind.
で、このね、静かになってくると、やっぱりその感覚、五感の方がだんだん磨かれてきて、まるでね、小さい子供の時のような、些細なことで、うわー、綺麗とかね、感激したり感動したり、日常の些細なことですごく喜びが増えてきます。
And then what happens once your mind quiets down is that your senses then sharpen. So when your senses are sharpened, then you are able to think like how you used to think as a child.
まあ、そんな感じかな。
Those are some of the common things that you may experience through a Reiki healing session or after you've learned Reiki and then you do healing to yourself.
もちろん中にはね、びっくりするような、みんなが驚くような、ミラクルが起こるような人もたまにはいますよ。だけども、ミラクルはやっぱね、ミラクルの確率でしか起こらないじゃない。
There are sometimes really ridiculously or miraculous things happen as well once in a blue moon, but after all, it's a miraculous thing. So, it doesn't happen to everybody.
でも今言ったようなことは、多くの人に、だから7、80%の方に起こってくることなので、もしその感覚を味わってみたいな、今そうじゃないな、ストレスが多いなっていう人は、楽しみに思ってもらえたら嬉しいですね。
What I mentioned, about 70 to 80% of people who receive continuous healing or learn Reiki and do healing on themselves experience. So if you are in that deep stress and you've made up your mind to go for healing sessions or learn Reiki, then you can expect this to happen eventually. Okay, so I think we've answered today's questions. Thank you very much. It was amazing. We'll see you again next time. Bye.
バイ。